Thank you very much, Professor. I also want to thank the foundation, Sasakawa Foundation, for bringing me and my colleague, Antoine, to speak to you and to see, to have a better idea about Japan. I am going to give you a brief idea about Al Arabiya quickly. Al Arabiya is part of MBC Group, as you can see there. It was established in 1991 and from London at the beginning. MBC broadcasted, MBC1 broadcasted from London 1991. And then they decided 2003 to move to Dubai, where they expanded the group and decided that they can have more channels. As you can see, we have from MBC1, we have MBC2, MBC3, MBC4, MBC Action, MBC Persia to the Persian audience, MBC Max, and then Al Arabiya, the channel where I and Antoine are working right now. Al Arabiya is basically 24 hours free-to-air news coverage. Looking at the MBC Group viewers here, we have approximately 85 million viewers watching Al Arabiya out of 250 million Arab population. The group in total. And almost 30%, 35% of this 85 million watch Al Arabiya on daily basis. Since it started 2003, Al Arabiya committed itself to help the Arab audience to know more and to become the channel itself. It became the modern interpretation and balanced reporting of the Arab world. We try to present a different way of news, cover the news and also try to look behind the news. And as you can see here, with all the political controversies in the region, Al Arabiya was always keen to report issues from different point of views. Regarding Al Arabiya network, as you can see in the map, we are covering almost all the Middle East area, part of Europe and North America, until up to India here. We have quite some contributors from other parts of the world. Along with 24 hours news coverage, we have programs, special programs, very well-viewed programs covering current affairs and trying to look deep into what is happening. And obviously, we have space for sports. As I am sure you are aware, sports is very important for a large portion of the viewers. Last year, we did this viewership profile. This is from last year. This year, I am sure the Al Arabiya improved this performance and was able to attract more audience. As you can see, from 3 a.m. to 2 a.m., we have viewers watching Al Arabiya almost 24 hours. And obviously, we try to attract female viewers in that part of the world. As you can see here, the blue line for male viewers, the red line for female viewers, and they are all interested some way or another. We also attract age between 25 to 34. And obviously, the large amount of audience are 35 and over.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy tonight for two reasons. First, for having this opportunity to meet you here in Kyoto, the lovely city. in a joint venture between Sasakawa Peace Foundation and your university. And I promised Dr. Samir to abide by the time. He was chasing me, don't take too much time. Second reason of my joy is because this university, which is a Christian university, reminds me of my university in Lebanon. It's a Christian one, which Lebanon is a country with Christians and Muslims living together besides the civil war happens there. And because this university reflects as well the media I work for, which we are different communities, different sects, and different nationalities, 56 nationalities.
You mean that this university?
Sorry? Al Arabiya, MBC group, as the whole MBC group, 56 nationalities, different communities, and different confessions. Let's start quickly with our presentation. May I ask you a question? How many visited the Middle East from the audience? That's really good. How many watch Arabic channels? That's good again. Who watches Al Arabiya or MBC Group? Okay, we want you to watch us from now on after this, hopefully. If you can't reach us on satellite, it's difficult. You can go to our website. We'll give it to you at the end. Let's start with our presentation, overview of the current Middle Eastern situation. How did it start? The uprising in the Arab world, how did it start? They started. What was the role of media, mass media as Al Arabiya, and the social media, the new media? And where the situation in different Arab countries is going to go? The ban factors, the bans factor, in fact, in the Middle East remained for many decades. The ban factor. Ben Ali is like Zain al-Abidin Ben Ali, the ex-Tunisian president, represents, in fact, all the Arab dictators. It's Ben, when we say the Arab Ben, that means all the Arab dictators. This is the first ban. The second ban is for Benjamin, as in Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, Israeli prime minister, and he represents the state of Israel, which was at a very destabilizing situation. They destabilized the Middle East for a long time. You might think that the Arab ban and the Israeli ban, they were fighting each other all the time. This is not true, because in fact, both of them, they used a hostile speech against each other, but in fact, they served each other interests, needs, and existence. How that happened? The Arab ban, or Arab dictator, as we mentioned, used well the Israeli occupation as an alibi to oppress democracy in their countries and refuse real reforms under a big headline facing Israel. Before satellite TV in the Arab world, like our satellite TV, Al Arabiya, like Al Jazeera, before that, Arab media, financed and controlled by Arab regimes, reported in Arabic language, not in other languages, all the aspects of Israeli atrocities in Palestine and neighboring countries without paying any attention to the regimes, Arab regimes' practices in their countries, inside their countries. While Israeli media, at the same time, they played on the fear factor of some Arab leaders about their security and their regimes. Now, after the Cold War, a new ban jumped into the game. Osama bin Laden accused Arab regimes of crushing their people and of being agents to Israel. He attracted, unfortunately, a chunk of Arab youth. Now, what happened to the first two bans, the Arab ban and the Israeli ban? In fact, the Arab ban profited from the newcomer, Osama bin Laden, and making him as a new enemy. And under that alibi, he sought all the Western help, aids, military aids, money, and cover for the regime as itself. And after September 11, you know what happened in New York by Al-Qaeda, US came physically to the Middle East. They started by Afghanistan, then they came to Iraq. Being in Iraq was a milestone for the whole region, and it deserves to go more on focus on that, on that event precisely, vis-à-vis the beginning of the fall of Arab dictators. The first shock was the two sons of ex-Iraqi president, Uday and Qusay Saddam Hussein, were killed and their bodies were shown to media. And graphic pictures usually not shown on our screen, but we did, and we may have stirred emotions. The second shock for the image of Arab dictators was arresting Saddam Hussein himself, the ex-Iraqi president, and footage of him opening his mouth in a degrading manner in the Arab culture. He was examined by an American doctor, shocked those footage. They shocked his followers and his opponents at the same time, and such situation was not really expected. And with the death of Saddam Hussein, at that moment, the dread of Arab tyrant collapsed. Now, that was the first fall for an Arab dictator. It was in Iraq, but not on the hands of his people. The first experience was in Tunisia. It took, in fact, some time for Arab citizens to be convinced that changing long-lasting dictatorship is possible. Who triggered that? It was WikiLeaks, when they confirmed to the Arab citizens, especially to the Tunisians, that they have what they have already heard and rumored about. It was similar to the husband who knew his wife was cheating on him, and it was time to take action. In fact, WikiLeaks released a cable, an American cable, on Ben Ali's son-in-law. His name was Sakhr al-Matari, the son-in-law. By WikiLeaks, they described that cable, describing his wealthy life, the rare historical antiques in his mansion, and the ice cream imported to his fridge from Monaco. And his pet, guess what? A tiger. Social media and Japanese technology, like mobiles, like, you know, everything, laptops, played a role in magnifying the case of Muhammad Bouazizi, the 27-year-old guy, to whom is attributed the so-called Arab uprising. Who is Muhammad Bouazizi? He was a desperate graduate young man with no job, selling fruit and vegetable on a cart without a permission. A policewoman confiscated his scale of weighing to forbid him from selling. He did not accept to abide by her orders. He went to the governor to complain. As it is said by the news that the governor did not accept to see him, and Bouazizi threatened if he doesn't want to see him, he threw on himself some petrol and waited. There is another side of the story which we are digging into it now after one of the UK newspapers spread the news. In fact, Muhammad Bouazizi, it is now appearing that he didn't will to kill himself. Why? Because the rumors said now that when he long waited the governor and he didn't want to see him, and after throwing petrol on himself, he was bored and lit a cigarette. And you know what happened after lighting a cigarette in that case? That version of what happened, it was confirmed by some of his entourage friends, and they were saying that he was not that smart. We at Al Arabiya, we send one of our smartest reporter, one of our investigative reporter, we send him to Tunisia to dig in that.